Today is Quadratic Formula Day, which I know you've been dying to get to. It's so exciting. Okay, the quadratic formula is another way for us to solve quadratics. And basically, it's a formula which you can use from anything in standard form and just plug stuff in to get your answer. So, from ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That equals 0 is important. Let's go a little smaller. Here is your formula that you need to memorize. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. All of that over 2a. Now, it looks like a hot mess, and you're not wrong. It kind of is a hot mess. But here's the beautiful thing. You can use the quadratic formula to solve anytime you have a quadratic equation. That's pretty darn exciting. Okay, now I would not leave you on your own to memorize this. That would be rude. So, just so you know, this formula can be sung to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. I will sing it for you, so buckle up because this is going to be a treat. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I know you're clapping, so you can hold your applause now because we got to keep going through the lesson. Point is, you need to memorize that. Okay, a vocab word for you, the discriminant, not related to discrimination. The discriminant is everything under the radical. So b squared minus 4ac. QF meaning quadratic formula. So b squared minus 4ac, that's your discriminant. That's just a vocab word. You'll see why we need that in just a second. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what this looks like to solve with the quadratic formula. And this A, B, C stuff, this comes from standard form. So A for number 1. You know, I'm actually going to do part B. So A is equal to 1 because anytime I don't have a coefficient here, that's like an invisible little 1. B is the number 11. And C is the number 18 because this equals 0 and I'm ready to go. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say X equals negative B. Well, if B is 11, then negative B is negative 11. And I've just decided I want to color code this. So B equals 11, C equals 18. All right, so X equals negative 11 plus or minus the square root of B, which is 11, squared, minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 18, and all of that is going to be divided by 2 times 1 because 1 is equal to our A value. And so now this is just a game of simplification from here. Let's start with what I know. 2 times 1 is 2, so I feel pretty good about that one. The square root, 11 squared is 121, and 4 times 18. If I had my calculator, I would do that, but I'm too lazy to grab it, if we're being honest. So 121 minus 72. over 2. Well, hey, what do you know about the square root of 49? That is 7. And since I have that plus or minus, and I don't have radicals, and I don't have imaginary numbers, that means we can go through and choose our own adventure to simplify. Meaning, am I going to go negative 11 plus 7 and divide it by 2? Or am I going to go negative 11 minus 7 and divide it by 2? Well, joke's on you because you got to do both. Negative 11 plus 7 is negative 4 divided by 2. Which means I get negative 2 as one of my answers. Negative 11 minus 7 is negative 18 divided by 2, which gets me negative 9 as my other answer. And look at that, we have our answers. That's exciting. So I understand, this is not my first rodeo, as they say, where I've been around the block teaching this a little bit before, and I know what gets people confused. It's really just, you can plug stuff in great, and you guys are so good at that, but it's just the order of knowing what to simplify. What comes next? What do I do? What's the next step? I totally understand that can be really hard to figure out. So I made this little DDRR, kind of like DDR, Dance Dance Revolution, but it's not even close to what that is. Basically, your order of simplification, maybe we should start by actually doing the problems, and you can figure it out. A equals 4, B equals 10, C equals 6. All right, I'm going to follow my formula. X equals negative B. Well, if B is 10, negative B, I'm just going to write this formula again just so we can see it on this same page. Negative B is going to be negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 10 squared minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. So once you get to here, what should we do to simplify? I would take care of your D's first, meaning your denominator and your discriminant. What's a discriminant again? Oh, right. The stuff under the radical, the b squared minus 4ac. Got it. We got this. Okay, I will say this is a calculator-friendly class. And with your calculator, what you can do, all this stuff under the radical, you can type that into your calculator. A big thing with that, notice I did not circle the radical itself. I only circled the stuff inside the radical. Because if you do that, it's just going to be so messed up, you have no idea. Anyway. Hold on. I'm grabbing my calculator this time. It wasn't that far. I was just too lazy to put it. And so I'm just going to type into my calculator. I literally just copy that, parentheses and everything. I'm just going to go 10 squared minus 4 times 4 times 6. And I end up getting 4, because it was 100 minus 96. Oops. And my denominator 2 times 4 is 8. So now that you have those things, you're going to simplify that radical, meaning that square root of 4 right here. 10 plus or minus, well, I know the square root of 4 is 2. And now we can split off and choose our own adventure. Okay, negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8. Divided by 8 is negative 1. Negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12 over 8, which brings us to our last thing. Just reduce your answers if necessary. Negative 12 over 8, that's like negative, 3 over 2. Quadratic formula. You having fun yet? Because we're about to get into some much more fun examples.